Okay, folks, I wanted to go over a couple of topics that come up pretty frequently. One, I wanted to talk a little bit about gout, as a lot of people have asked me about gout on a carnivore diet. And then I also like to talk about how to do it in an economic fashion, as a lot of people ask me about that as well. And I'd also like to touch on World Carnivore Month that's coming up in January. Anyway, I got my steak, the F up shirt on. So anyway, that is something that we have in our merchandise section if anybody's interested in that type of shirt. So anyway, gout. So gout historically has been associated with eating red meat or meat in general, and that is thought to be because of the fact that meat has a slightly higher purine content than some of the other foods. Although purines are in most foods, including plant foods, meat has a slightly higher amount. Purine metabolism is associated with uric acid. Uric acid is associated with gout. In fact, the sodium urate crystals are what often causes gout in the joints. And when you look at them under a microscope, they look there's a certain pattern that they have. And gout can cause inflammation in extremely painful joints. It can last for a significant period of time. A gout attack is not much fun at all for people that have had that. Gout can also form something called a gouty tophi, which is like a collection of these crystals that occurs in the skin. I have operated on them many times. And when you remove them, you make an incision, you take the gouty tophi out, and it literally looks like toothpaste. It literally has a consistency and the appearance of a toothpaste. And so that's what a gouty tophi is. Now, additionally, I've washed out many joints that have had gout in there, and that helps as well. But gout seems to be associated with inflammation. You can look at a number of articles, and I'll post them up there showing that chronic underlying inflammation, metabolic disease predispose one to gout. Like many of these diseases, I think the uric acid tends to be the thing we look at, but not the actual cause. I think the cause is underlying inflammation, and the uric acid is then, becomes bound up in that situation. Fructose is something that seems to be extremely highly associated with gout. What we're seeing with people that go on a carnivore diet and they eliminate fructose from the diet, or eliminate all sugars basically, is that the gout goes away over a period of time. The interesting thing is that even people with active gout note that their gout goes away. Now, I will say that some people early on, particularly initially, if they have gout, sometimes going on the diet will precipitate a gout attack. That tends to be the minority, but it can happen. And I think that occurs because people are still in a relatively inflamed state, and their uric acid may rise initially on the diet just because of the issue with the purine metabolism. But long term, that tends to go away. One strategy, if you have known gout or predisposition to gout, is there are medications that many people will take, and sometimes that will help to minimize the onset of gout. Those medications include things like indomethacin or other anti-inflammatory drugs, allopurinol, and colchicine, none of which I think is great to take long term. But if it gets you over the short duration of a gout attack while you're transitioning to the diet, then I think that may be a short-term solution. But again, over the long haul, gout does not seem to be an issue for people on a carnivore diet. I think the reason red meat has been associated with gout is gout used to be considered the disease of the wealthy or the rich. And back in the old days, the only people that could afford to eat meat on a regular basis were rich people. The poor people ate all the grains and the other garbage that was left over, which we now claim as health food, which is actually garbage. But that's a different topic. I'll include a couple links on some literature that people have written on gout. There's a number of good articles out there that people like Dr. George Eade, Amy Berger, and some other folks have written regarding gout. So I'll include those in the description today. As far as doing a carnivore on a budget, a lot of people ask me, how do I do carnivore on a budget? And it's very simple. Ground beef is an excellent, option for people. And it's inexpensive, and it works fine for the vast majority of people. So don't be feeling that you have to eat, high-end steaks all the time. You do not have to eat grass-finished beef. In fact, most grass-finished beef, or arguably a lot of the grass-finished beef that is labeled so, isn't even actually grass-finished. You know, it technically means the cows had access at some point to grass. It doesn't mean they ate it. They could have eaten other stuff as well. There's all kinds of sort of deceptive labeling that goes on. So I don't know that it's necessarily worth it to spend the money on that stuff if you're looking to do it on a budget. There is some arguable benefits that it may benefit people, but probably those differences are probably fairly small in the grand scheme of things compared to, you know, a crappy Western standardized diet that's full of garbage and junk food. So if you don't have a lot of money, buy cheap beef rather than buying grains and cereals and, you know, the other garbage that you might otherwise buy. There's a website out there called mygrocerydeals.com, which is a very nice tool to utilize, and it works in the United States. I think there's some equivalent ones in Canada, maybe in the UK and Australia perhaps, but I know for a fact in the United States, if you go to mygrocerydeals.com, and all you got to do is type in your zip code and then type in steak or meat, and it'll show you all the really good prices, you know, that are around. And just remember, during the holiday seasons, any holiday, you know, whether it's Memorial Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, there's always very heavily discounted sales on meat. So you go in there and you just stock up. You know, if you got a freezer, great. Hopefully you got a freezer you can stock up. And that is one way to get fairly cheap and expensive meat. There are places you can go online that are out there that will allow you to purchase, you know, either a half a cow or a quarter side of beef, things like that, which can be an economical way to do that. As far as, you know, like living in a dorm or something like that, you know, I find it like a little air fryer that I have works quite well. You know, you don't have to have a place to barbecue. You can do that to cook up your meat. You cook up burgers. You cook up steak there. Eggs are a good source, you know, for people that tolerate them. I think eggs should be, you know, if you can tolerate them, they're a fine part of the diet. They can be included. I wouldn't make them, I would still keep meat as a main source of your nutrition and then have eggs as kind of a supplement, if you will. Organ meats, again, for those people that like them, and some people do, some people don't, that can be also an excellent source of cheap nutrition. Many cases, they're very inexpensive. So that is a very, another economical solution for doing that. Obviously, if you hunt, then you can get your meat inexpensively. If you got friends that are hunter, you might be able to make a deal with those folks. So it's, you know, it can be done really. I mean, you know, a couple pounds of meat, if you're eating ground beef, a lot of times it's $2-3 a pound, you know, $6-7 a day, potentially a few eggs in there. And I think that's, get you quite a bit of good nutrition. World Carnivore Month. So January will be second annual World Carnivore Month. Last year we had about 10,000 participants. This year I'm expecting that number to go up significantly. I am currently working with a number of beef producers and other companies that kind of work around eating meat that are going to be offering discounts. I'm going to have a sign-up page for people to go to World Carnivore Month. I'll put it out on my social media. And then you can get on the list, and I will get you guys discounts from all these companies, hopefully a whole bunch of them that you have to choose from. So that'll help you guys get, you know, at least some sales on some meat to try out for the month and see how it goes from there. And it's good to see we've got more and more folks that are going to be supporting World Carnivore Month. So that's coming soon. I'll let you guys know about that in the near future. All right, guys, so gout, long-term, carnivore diet seems to help. That has been the experience over and over again. In the short term, if you have gout, maybe you might need to take some preventive medicines early on. You know, mygrocerydeals.com for the way to save some money, and then we'll also be setting you guys up for World Carnivore Month. All right, guys, take care, and we'll talk to you on the next video. Bye-bye.